everyone, I'm Christine DeMayo.
And I am Rick Sanders, and welcome to Gigging Solo. Christine, what's been going on for you?
Well, as we speak, I just got back from a wonderful day of kayaking on the lake. And I needed it because I played so many gigs last week. I felt out of touch with being a normal human. So it felt great to be outside and have the sun shining upon my face and the water touching my feet at times, although it was freezing. What's going on with you?
I spent most of today on hold, trying to navigate the American healthcare system. I feel like I have not seen the sun in far, far too long. In general, kind of zooming out a little bit more, it's just pretty fresh right now. I have been a little busier in general. I have had a fair few pretty good gigs. I had a really nice gig on Saturday where I actually had like an engaged audience and was able to do some local covers, like covers of local musicians, including covers of old songs I did. I sent you a little song I did 16 years ago when I was a baby guitarist.
A baby guitarist.
I was just learning out. I had an acoustic guitar that was far too big for me to manage, and I had no concept of any of the things I do today. It's kind of fun to watch. It was, I think that video, and maybe I'll share just a tiny bit in the screen when the editing, was the first time I ever played with anything like a sound person. I had no idea what was happening. It was delightful.
Wow. Yeah. What a memory there, man.
It's kind of cool, actually. It's fun to have video of those early moments. Yeah,
for sure. I did have one interesting gig, actually, and I just want to make mention of it. This last week, I haven't played in a smoking venue in probably, it might be 10 years or so, because it's just not, I can't do it. It usually makes me sick. Yeah. But there was this really cool cigar bar lounge that I played at in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and it was awesome. I had a really good time. The venue was really neat. I think the cigar smoke did kind of take its toll on me a little bit. Definitely made the allergies flare up. And it's not a gig that I'll play all the time, maybe once every 6 months or quarter or something like that. So, I don't know. That was new on my agenda. But other than that, it was business as usual.
Yeah, one last little thing from me, and I'm just going to tease this story. And you know what? Next episode, we'll return to it. I had some parts of my gear destroyed by falling water cup.
Gosh.
I've recovered from that mentally. We'll see. Mentally, I'm not sure, but I have ordered the replacement part. It luckily wasn't that expensive a piece of gear, but we were able to get the show going on. We'll tell that story next time. Christine, we have something a little special today. You want to talk about that?
Yes, we have our first podcast guest. Do you want to introduce our guest, Rick?
I do want to introduce our guest. So let's bring him back from behind the virtual green room here and welcome Nullibi to the stage. We've talked to him about this, by the way. Paul or Nullibi, either name may pop out, but for the most purposes, he's Nullibi in this context. And Nullibi, we've mentioned him probably a couple times on the podcast, and we'll let him introduce himself in a second here. But he is another live looper. And I'm not going to try to pronounce the city you're from because I've seen it written out and I know I would do it poorly. Nullibi, would you like to say where you're from?
Sure. Hey guys. Yeah, so I'm Paul or Nullibi from Wollongong, Australia. And it is confusing because it's spelt Wollongong and that's how most American people say it because that's how it's spelt. But we say it Wollongong. And it's just south of Sydney, about an hour south. And yeah, it's a much smaller town than Sydney. And it's right on the beach. And I like it this way. Can go to the big city if I need to, but don't have to live there.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it sounds great, honestly, being able to just go to the beach just like that. Just, hey, I think I'll go on over to the beach and have a chill day. But you know what doesn't sound great, Paul? And I'm going to call you Paul here and there. Is how Paul decided to make Nullibi his YouTube handle. And for the first probably month or two, I was calling him I was pronouncing it all kinds of wrong. It's supposed to be Nullibi, and I was all calling him Nullibi. And tons of other YouTubers that tune in to us just got such a kick out of me mispronouncing it. It was a running joke for a while. I mean, I really appreciate you making me look so ridiculous by having such a wonderful YouTube handle. Thank you very much. When this whole time we could have just called you Paul, you know?
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you were probably more correct than me. And it is a Latin word, and you do probably pronounce it Nullibi.
Oh, okay.
So you were right.
There you go.
All right. I'm okay with this now.
I mean, I was newer to the whole like looping streaming ecosystem when I met you, and I think pretty early on you popped in my chat, and I said Nullibi, or I probably said Nullibi or something like that. Like, how do you say your name? And you said it rhymes with lullaby, which I think is a great. You know, anyone who has a name that's hard to pronounce or unintuitive to pronounce, I think it's good to have like shorthand like that. My last name, well, it's on the screen, so I'm not giving it away, is Sanders. Not that difficult, but people would ask. My dad had this bit he would do. It's like the Colonel, but no chicken, and that was like, so it's Colonel Sanders. You know,
you're making me hungry.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own there, I suppose.
My vegetarian friend, I know.
So, Nullibi, how did you find yourself in, like, I guess, to music or to streaming, to any of this? Like, you know, how is it that we've all been in this, kind of found ourselves in the same kind of community here?
Well, I've been a lifelong musician. My mum was a music teacher. So, you know, I started on the violin in preschool or kindergarten or something, and moved to the keys, and then the piano accordion, played for a little while, and it was with a folk band. I learned the tin whistle, and then I picked up the guitar, and then that one was the one that stuck. And that was when I was about 9 years old or something like that. And then,
wow.
So, yeah, played guitar. You know, Eddie Van Halen was my hero, and I was totally going to be a shredder. And then at some point I realized if you sing as well, then the girls are much more interested. And so from that point on, I didn't really worry about the shredding or anything like that, and I just started singing much more, and started writing my own songs. And, you know, I had a little cassette tape where you just, you know, press the play and record buttons together and
I remember that.
Make a little recording, and then I'd give them to the girls at school to listen to, and I thought I was really cool. And
oh man, this is so great. I'm sorry. Keep going.
And then bands in high school, they were always fun. Started playing live venues when I was about 15 or something like that. And yeah, it was all original music. I wasn't really interested in covers at all. And did that for a long time. Got to the point where I was in bands that sort of almost made it. So I was in a band that, you know, we opened for Deep Purple in front of 5,000 people and toured one of the states of Australia with In Excess, and did a whole lot of big gigs, and we'd get in front of record companies and they would say, no. And that was a lot of hard work as well. Like we did, you know, 100 shows in a year. And after a few years, that was of not ever getting anywhere with that really.
Something? So were you the lead singer in these bands that you
No,
toured
that
with?
was another sort of thing that it wasn't really, like I had a couple of songs that I'd written that we played, and we did the thing where like the lead singer would do the thing and then I would sort of step forward and do one of my songs like in the middle of the set, and then just as like a change up, and then he would finish off, and then it caused weirdness because it's like, well, why don't you sing more? Because there'd be some people who I appealed to more, and other people would appeal to the other guy more, and the record company people would be like, you can't have two singers. And I'm like, there are a lot of bands that have two singers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bands like, U2 and like that, where the Edge will come and sing a song, and like the Beatles. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I think Tears for Fears is the one that pops into my head for whatever reason as well. Like, same kind of idea. Like, definitely some songs in one, some songs in the other. I'm a big Bare Naked Ladies fan. Two singers in that in the early days of that band. Now they're kind of all sing. There's definitely two more prominent singers still.
The Indigo Girls.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We could probably all just keep listing and listing, Gosh. Okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to get you off track there. That's interesting to me. I just kind of wonder where you sat in these settings. You know what I mean? But that's cool.
And I love harmonies. So I was always really happy to be the second singer, guitarist. But yeah, after doing that for a few years, I decided that I'd quit that band and try and do it on my own, and started up my own bands. But I also, at that point as well, I was like, I'm a software engineer by day. I was also working pretty hard, and the music sort of took a back seat for a while. Got married, had kids, and kept doing music. But in COVID, I joined a songwriting club, and cool. Where you write a song every week. And
nice.
I did that for 100 weeks in a row. So did a full production of 100 songs in a row. And that really got me back into it, and started doing the covers thing. I saw a Tash Sultana video of, from her lounge room in Melbourne, where the Jungle one, where she layered everything and looped it, and I was like, what was that? I watched that video on repeat for a long time, trying to figure out exactly what she was doing, like trying to get close-ups of her pedals so that I could order them and everything like that, and that just really got me into it.
So this is all like during COVID, this is when you kind of like got into the looping thing?
Yeah, coming out of COVID when, my timelines, when was COVID?
A billion years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
2020?
Time stopped.
End of 2019, starting of 2020?
Yeah. Well, no, 2020 and 2019 is the start. Yeah, it probably like locked things down. I mean, you were in. So now you've actually lived in different countries, as I understand as well. So were you in Australia during COVID?
No, and I'm very glad that I was. So I was back to Australia because I was very glad that I wasn't. Yeah, just to go back a little bit. So I lived in America for a while with the software engineering job. I was with a startup. Some Aussie guys, we moved to Silicon Valley together, and but we had families, and I had little kids. Went over with 2 small children, had another baby over there in California, and we were just in a little 2-bedroom apartment with 5 of us. It would have been awful to be there during the COVID times.
True.
Yes, very true.
Yeah, no, and none. I mean, I live in that area now, and yes, the average housing situation in terms of square footage is quite small. I think for for the average person in this area here. If there's anything average about the Bay Area, which is questionable.
Yeah. So that was most of the 2010s. I was in California, and then moved back at the end of the 2010s to Australia. And, we've got a house with a backyard and a pool and a trampoline out the front. So COVID lockdown was pretty cushy here.
Yeah.
Hey, let me just go hang out in the pool and jump on the trampoline a little bit. Yeah. Yes, I'd say you had it made.
A lot of so a lot of people COVID was a little bit of a crucible of things, like everything changed, right? It's almost like a cocoon for the whole world, especially I think musicians. Actually, at some point, Christine, I'm curious how you navigated COVID because I didn't know you back then. But like for me, I actually cut my teeth on looping the same way. Actually, I started performing in 2019. It shut down like 3 months in. I had my first private booking ever that was canceled because of COVID. So but a lot of people I know, they started bands like this local group called the Lawn Darts, literally called themselves that because the only way they could perform was being on the front lawn at distance with people spread out around them. Did you have anything like that happen around you during COVID?
Trying to remember. I don't think so.
Gosh.
They definitely started to put the limits on how many people could come into the shows, and you couldn't sit down. I just remembered that then.
Yeah.
And yeah, keep remembering parts of the story. So the way I got into covers again was I just joined a friend's band, and I still play with them occasionally, and we're called Def Row, like Def Leppard and Skid Row smushed together, and it sounds like Death Row with a lisp.
Nice.
And so we play all those Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and all those sorts of songs, and it's really fun. And so I started doing that in about 2018, 19, just before COVID, and then COVID happened, and then I remember doing some gigs, and they limited how many people could come in, and you weren't allowed to sit down. You had to be standing, socially distancing, and then the gigs could go ahead. But
how odd!
Standing, that's unusual.
Yeah, that's unusual to me too. I mean,
or is it
I can tell
you weren't allowed to stand?
It might be that. Maybe that's it. Because I could see them putting social distance the chairs out. I don't know, like the logistics of it. Like we're all getting PTSD just thinking about that. I mean,
truly,
it's
COVID was a nightmare.
It was.
I mean, just a quick recap. I had so many gigs lined up in March, all the way to the end of the year. And I just remember COVID hit and I lost every single gig and just went into sheer panic because this is all I do for a living.
Yeah.
And I had actually just saved all of the money that I needed to buy this studio. And I had a moment where I said, I can sit here during this shutdown and go through all my money that I've saved and worked so hard to just have this studio free and clear without any debt. Or I can go get a job and mask up and just do what I gotta do and make some money to basically get through. And I decided I went and worked at Walmart. I mean, it was the most humbling experience I've had in years. I'll be honest with you. I worked at Walmart. I worked in the deli section because that's what they were hiring for. And I just did not care. I just wanted to make enough money to pay my bills that kept rolling in every month. And I did that probably from March all the way through, I think things really started opening up July. So from March to July, I felt I was living a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from.
Yeah.
And but I just pedaled to the metal and nose to the grind and said, no, man, I'm not blowing my savings just to float through COVID, just because my pride doesn't want to go work at a job like Walmart, but it was an essential job. So that's why I could work. You had to go get groceries. You had to do stuff like that. So for me, like I said, I did what I had to do, and I'm glad I did because as soon as things opened up in July, I got phone calls out the wazoo, and I was booked to the brim once again. And I still had all my money, and I was still able to buy the studio and do what I needed to do. And it was a tough decision. Like I said, the ego definitely took a hit, but it was worth it. It's definitely the right decision was made.
Yeah, totally. I'm actually curious. So, Paul, did you end up, were you live streaming during COVID at all, or had you not kind of done that yet that much at that point?
No, I hadn't done that yet. I just started to do yeah, so I'd been playing with the band, and then we tried to do some of the, the split screen COVID home videos where you record your parts from home and put them together. So I started to get into a little bit of the YouTube thing and recording videos and things like that. And it must have been pretty soon or around then that I tried to live stream as well. I came across, Matt Bolton, and once I saw what he could do, I was like, maybe I don't need a band for some of these shows. And that led me down the whole live looping path and gear acquisition. And yeah, I'm not trying to remember who I saw on Twitch, but oh yeah, because I'm a huge fan of an Australian guy called Toehider. The group is called Toehider. The guy's name is Mike Mills, and he was streaming on Twitch through the COVID times, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And so I started on Twitch, I believe, and then got into doing YouTube and Twitch.
Would you say that Matt Bolton was your biggest influence for live looping? Or the other guy?
Yeah,
or the
absolutely.
other band, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, the Toehider was a streaming sort of influence, but he he made all of his own backing tracks himself, and they would sound amazing. He had like lighting effects that were synchronized with the tracks that he was making. He had a camera on a track that would
it's like that
really
guy that guy BREN was
BREN
also
does that as well.
Yeah, he does that as well. I saw an interview with him recently.
What, a moving camera?
Yeah, he's got like multiple cameras. He switches camera angles, and one of them does move back. It's like I don't know if this is the same as the other guy does, but like apparently it's on like a track where the track just moves back and forth, but it's also one of those cameras that tracks you. So it's like a camera that's kind of like, I'm doing this, like it's kind of doing this kind of thing where it's like pivoting towards you as it slides back and forth. So it gives it more three-dimensional, I guess, is the aim there.
Yeah, and
okay.
But yeah, Matt Bolton was definitely the one that influenced. And if you watch my shows, you can see there's a lot of similarities, and even with the gear. I did have. People say, "Oh, you just bought Matt Bolton's gear," and I swear some of it I already had, but I definitely stole the idea of using like the hand sonic.
Yeah.
I saw that from Matt Bolton, even though Tash Sultana uses one of them as well.
They're not that uncommon, but yeah, Matt Bolton's kind of the one. It is fun to play. Name that looper inspiration almost. Like I saw someone on YouTube, YouTube Live. I'm gonna forget his name, and I apologize because there's someone in our greater sphere. But he was playing. He had one of those like Carl Wagner has that little block of wood on his Maiden guitar, and I'm like, and he had that too. I'm like, oh, he's a Carl Wagner acolyte versus like a Matt Bolton acolyte versus a whatever. It's kind of funny to figure out someone's influences based on some of the gear they use.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I don't think there's anything wrong with grabbing, gear because you admire the way an artist does something. I do it all the time. I'm like, how are they achieving that? Because I like the way they're doing that. To me, I'm just, I think that's a great way to improve your show is watching others and seeing how they're doing things and taking note and, applying it to what you do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know. I'm a David Shannon student, I guess you could say, but like, my guitar choice is from Carl Wagner videos. I mean, that's why I play a Maiden as well. Same kind of thing.
I actually pull influence from a guy that I guess a lot of people don't really know about. He's not very active on YouTube. Michael Voss. He plays an octopad as well, and I saw him one day on YouTube and was just enamored by his talent, and I think he's super good. So he's somebody that I got the idea of using an octopad for. I had already had the idea, but I'd never seen anybody using it until I saw him play. Mm-hmm. So seeing him use it in that application, I was like, wow, this really can work, you know?
I think I've stolen some things from him as well. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he does very much anymore, but he was active for a little while.
Yeah, he's like a big wedding guy, I think now. I follow him on Instagram, and I feel like I constantly see he is a wedding looper. That's what he does. He is always booked for weddings, and I think in special events. That's all I ever see on his Instagram.
Sometimes people just get busy, just being successful as musicians, and then we are all like sad they're not online.
I know. I'd like to see what he's doing,
He's too busy making a lot of money playing weddings.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is one of the geniuses for, I learned from you, Christine, and I think you and, I don't know which one of you and Kevin taught each other the way that I do my live streams, which is just like taking advantage of live gigs and just kind of, doubling them up as online. Paul, how did you get started with live streaming? I mean, you live stream your gigs. Was it just an offshoot of Twitch to that and you just figured out how to make it work? Or did you get that idea from someone else specifically?
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, that's what Matt Bolton primarily does. He does the very occasional home studio stream, and he did some of them during COVID where he played like a whole album. He live looped the whole album in COVID, but yeah, I think I just copied the idea.
That's cool.
From that, and once all the gigs started to open up, I've never had a really great space to do it in the house. Hopefully that is going to change very soon, and day job, family.
I get that. Yeah.
So just doubling up to do the live streams from the live shows was really the only way that I could regularly get a stream happening.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I to be honest, you guys know I don't really do many studio lives either, I guess, comparatively speaking. I just feel personally for me, if I did a studio live more often, I think it would just kind of it would make me a little bit miserable, just to be honest, because I already play so much that when I'm not playing a gig, I kind of just want to do what I did today. I want to be on the lake. I want to be in the Jeep. I'm an active person. I want to be doing something other than playing music and sitting in my studio. That's what I do for work, and I do love it. It's my passion, but I think the reason why I'm able to go to each gig and give it a good run is because I feel refreshed from having time off. So yeah. I'm not trying to do like a bunch of studio lives all the time. It kills it for me, I think.
I go back and forth. If my calendar's light, I like doing studio lives to connect with my audience or to say thank you to them or whatever. But no, it's a balancing act. You want to make sure you don't like burn yourself out. One of the things I will say that it's kind of fun for the studio lives for me specifically, and I know you do very few of these days, Paul, but is just being able to actually engage directly with the audience. Because when you're in a live setting, I mean, I do have the talkback mic, and I'm not as good at, Christine, you actually work in like the end of a guitar solo, you're talking to the chat. You're very good at that in a live setting. And I'm getting better, but it's still like, there's some shows where I'm like barely noticing that the chat is there at all. I'm just like focusing on the in-person audience. And it's nice to have a couple where I can connect with the audience. It's like, building my online thing as well. So it's kind of like a give back to them. Plus it's a way for me to work on like new material and like roll out new songs. I have to goofy things.
Something that I actually would take away from just this podcast like happening right now, each of us has our own different vibe and approach to our live stream and our shows in general. So, you say you want to get better about interacting with your live stream, and there are times where I don't really interact with mine because I've got like a lively crowd. So I get that. But overall, I think it's just your vibe. You know what I mean? Your overall vibe is different in your live stream. And I think it's cool because I like to tune into yours sometime and see what you're doing, and just the whole vibe of your chat is different than mine.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll try to catch Nullibi whenever it's like 2:00 in the morning. It feels like I just came back from a gig because the time difference. And I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I want to scroll YouTube just for a minute before I close my eyes, and I'll see that he's playing, and just the whole chat is it's like a completely different vibe than my chat, and how he responds is different than how I respond, and it's just fun to watch, how everybody's got their own different flavor. So I mean, I wouldn't be too hard on yourself. As far as, I need to interact more.
Yeah, no, I do want to say directly thank you, Paul, because this is our first time actually talking, I'd say in person ish, whatever, the internet, but like, because of the time zones and because of when you do your streams, like often I'm like editing this podcast and like another window is open and I'm engaging with your streams because it's just the way the timing works out.
Yeah, it is a bad time zone for globally to pick up an audience. It's the night owls. It's the people who are up really late in the US, or the people who are getting up really early in Europe. Mm-hmm. And there's not much in between. I haven't tapped into an Australian, Asian slice of the world, third of the world, to pick up an audience there. But I'm happy to entertain the night owls. I joke with DW, one of our friends, about, if you're up in the middle of the night, I'm there and keep you company for a little while.
I want to get into this because I discovered you, I believe, I'm also a fan of Matt Bolton, and I like what he does, and I think he's phenomenal, but I couldn't figure out how he was doing it. And so I think I just started searching Matt Bolton on YouTube or something, and one of your videos popped up, and you were describing how he achieves and does what he does, and I just thought, oh my gosh. And I was trying to watch it, but it was late. I was on one of my ADHD, I guess, journeys, and I was like, oh man, this is crazy. And I just remember watching at least, I think it was a few minutes of it, and I was like, wow, this is above my pay grade. It's just like, I don't think I'm going to be on this dude's level. And the fact that you were figuring out, I was like, wow, this guy's smart. And so I went to your page, I think, and started looking at a couple of things that you did. I was like, okay, he really has this figured out. But then I guess since I had already looked at you, then you started showing up with your live streams. I was like, okay, well, he's smart and he's talented. I was like, this guy just gets everything, So that's kind of how I discovered you. But your Matt Bolton videos were just kind of mind-blowing to me.
How'd you figure that out?
Yeah. How did you figure that out?
I'm one of those people that has to know. And Matt has many, many thousands of hours of videos available, and I'm a moderator on his YouTube channel now, have been for a few years.
Nice.
And that's just because I watched him every day, and he's a really nice guy, but he is cagey about giving away secrets. He will never do a how-to video. He's happy to answer some questions, and then some questions he just doesn't answer.
Has he ever reached out to you about the videos, or does he know they exist?
He does know they exist. Yeah, I did ask him, for forgiveness. I didn't ask for permission, but I did let him know that I did the video.
See, that's such a bummer, man. I don't know. For me, that's a bummer that he's not willing to share the secrets, I guess, of the sauce. I'll keep that to myself, though. That's a bummer, though.
He is friendly. I met him in person, actually. He's very friendly. To your point, I think he's friendly. But yeah, I get that friendly KG. I do get that, actually.
Yeah, and he likes to keep a bit of mystery around some things. It's just fun, and I think it. But yeah, so I just watched everything he did, scrolled back, and I'm like, how does he do that? Got my RC600, tried to set it up exactly the same as his, and work it out. And there's just some things that I just think add so much. Like, why is Matt Bolton so much better than the average looper? And things like the way he controls his delay with the hand sonic, like getting interesting drums is constant battle for people like us. And he manages to do drum fills at the same time. But drum fills are tricky because you always want it to lead into the next bar, but you can't then hit the one on the guitar. If you're doing a drum fill over here and hitting a crash, then you've missed the one playing it on the guitar or the piano. So he brings in a delay so that he hits it, hits the drum twice, and then he'll get 2 more hits that lead into the next bar. And I was just like, that is just genius.
Yeah.
And so I had to figure out how they did that. And then I'm like, you can't possibly do that with just the RC600. How does he do that? Because he has too many inputs. It's all stereo. And so I had to work out, he must have another mixer, and then that must go in here. There's limitations of the RC600. You can't put an input effect on just 2 inputs. You either have to have it on them all or just on one of them, and then you run out of input effects. So I was just going through.
Yeah, his setup is honestly, it's ridiculous. I am sure that his load that he has to bring for each gig is just backbreaking.
So,
because I've seen that he plays with 2 EV50s.
I think so. Yeah.
He has dialed that back a little bit recently.
Oh, has he? Okay, because I saw that he had at one of his gigs. He had 2 EV50s, and I think he's got like a Behringer X-Air or something like that. And I just, my back hurts just thinking about it.
I will say, I asked one of the things he did answer for me, because I asked him a question. I think it was on one of his videos. I don't think it was live. And I asked him like how long it takes him to set up, because I was curious, and he said 15 minutes.
Yep.
And I thought, how is that possible?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm starting to see how, as my own setup gets more optimized, I'm seeing how it's possible, but it's still wild because there's so much just stuff there. I mean,
Yeah.
and I've seen it, now that I've seen it in person, it's like, it's a little more beat up looking than it looks like on the cameras too. That's some well-loved gear, let me tell you.
Oh yeah. Well, he definitely has streamlined his approach too. You can tell he has put in the man hours to say, you know what, I want to be able to literally just show up, take this pedal board out of the box, plug in and plug this thing in and go. So he's probably streamlined it as much as he possibly can. You can tell that. If he's especially if he's setting up at 15 minutes. So
yeah. And he's quite the MacGyver with the gear as well. Like, I remember one thing he said was, keyboards are mostly empty underneath. You can go nuts in there. You can make holes, and so people always comment on his wobbly keyboard stand.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a snare holder that's just stuck into a flagpole on the pedal board, and it is quite wobbly, but it's never going to fall over. And then there's a whole lot, if you zoom in, there's a whole lot of Velcro holding everything together as well. So
you know what?
Velcro is your friend.
Different strokes for different folks, and I obviously think he is an incredible live looping artist, but I do not share the desire to haul what he hauls to a gig, and I never will, probably. So I'll have my setup, I think, for a long time.
Wait till have you seen BREN's setup?
I have.
Bren's
is crazy.
And
Bren's is actually just insane.
I'm like, no, I like my little rolling octopad. It gives me a lot of the same sound that you've got, buddy. Sorry, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it as light as possible.
But that pedal board must weigh 50 kilos.
It's so
like over 100 pounds. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
You know what? And that's great for them. But like I said, my back hurts just looking at all their gear. I'm just like, no, absolutely not. So that's just my personal opinion. Like, I am thinking constantly of how to downsize my setup. Literally.
Yeah.
Constantly
Well,
thinking about
I
that.
played my first show on the weekend using my new Loopy Pro iPad-based rig
Nice.
instead
How'd
of
that go?
my RC600 big pedal board. And it went pretty well.
Wow.
I think it sounds really good because you get to use the onboard effects on the iPad, like any plug-in from any manufacturer, and still using like a TC Helicon vocal pedal and a Podgo Helix guitar pedal. But
Yeah.
it's a lot lighter setup. There was a little bit of latency that I wasn't expecting. Wasn't like I've only done it from home before with headphones, and that's been absolutely fine. But doing it at a gig with the speakers, I really noticed a bit of latency. So some things to fix up there. But it's making me think about what more I could get into the iPad and out of off-board gear to make everything a bit lighter.
Gosh, it just terrifies me to think of doing a complete live looping show off of a literal just Loopy Pro software. I mean, I know technically, I guess you could, if you really think of it this way, the Boss RC600 is, running the software too, but it's a hardware. It's in this little contained hardware, setup, and it just makes me feel less worried. I don't know if that makes sense. It just scares me to think of using a software to do all my looping and having to use a computer.
Absolutely. And that's why I've been sort of holding off doing it. I've been using Loopy Pro for probably, 6 months, say. And I've done a bunch of live streams from home using it. But I hadn't actually taken it to a gig yet. And I did that on Sunday for the first time. I still had my RC600 in the box just in case I needed to at some point.
Yep.
Good.
But I did 3.5 hour show and it was great.
All right, Paul, Nullibi, your alter ego. What are your thoughts then, since we've been talking about how scary it is to use the iPad as your looper? Like, what are your thoughts on using the iPad on stage then?
Yeah. I would be completely lost without at least one of my iPads. Because my kind of thing, I know everyone sort of has different things and it's not a unique thing, but it is around here at least, is I play a lot of different songs. Mm-hmm. And my shows are almost entirely request-based every single time. And so I've got more than 500 songs in the request list, and I know more than that, and I add things to it all the time. So I have to be able to bring it up, and I use OnSong. I bought it when you could still get like a lifetime subscription, so I did a one-off purchase at some point of OnSong. Mm-hmm. And so I use it, and I've got all the songs in there. I've got little cheat notes at the top saying, don't forget this. This is a harmonica one, or, capo here, or just like the kick snare pattern, just to remind myself of how the song goes. And, I'm sure you guys are the same, that first, like verse, chorus, you're good. You're like, oh yeah, I know heaps of songs. And then you're getting into the second or third verse and you're like, well, have I done this verse before, or where am I up to? Or like you look at someone and you get a bit distracted and you're like, where am I up to in the song? So it's great to be able to have something just to glance at. And bridges, like who remembers bridges to songs? So
it's so funny because listening to you, literally, we have lived such similar lives. Even from your backstory of when you were talking about you never used to play cover songs. That was me too. And then I played in original bands and traveled, and we got close because they would look at us for labels, and then it was just, not quite, And now I wasn't the lead singer in these bands. Some of them I was, like one of them I was, and the other one I was just the guitarist / backup singer. So it's just kind of funny listening to you and your experiences. And then even with your stuff on the iPad, I literally remember buying a one-off lifetime subscription to Ultimate Guitar Tabs years ago. So I'm grandfathered in. I haven't had
Same
to pay
with me with Ultimate Guitar.
It's so great. I haven't had to pay for that thing in years.
Same.
And
Set list maker, same here.
Yeah.
It's something that they don't even offer it anymore. They only have a subscription version
Yep.
that's the replacement. Yeah,
that's true.
Let's pour one
We
out.
got
for
in
the
early, guys. Yeah.
Let's pour one out for the lifetime membership option that they don't have anymore.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. So I'm glad to know that you are Team iPad, and we are all on the same team of getting in on those grandfathered in plans.
So you got to be careful, Paul. Sorry, you got to be careful because if you have too many notes on your songs, then you have to be careful how full Christine's stomach is before you show it to her. She might throw up on you. That's what I learned from some of my notes.
It's too much. It looked like literally it was just like everything was just squeezed onto this little
I broke
thing.
her brain a few weeks ago with one of my songs.
Oh, wow. I have to see one of these now.
Smoke coming out of my ears.
We'll share notes at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say that with my first Loopy Pro show that I did on Sunday, I had 2 iPads. And
I mean, that does make sense because one of them is literally your loopers. So
exactly.
It kind of makes sense to me.
But I do feel like it potentially was covering me up too much. And I need to play a little bit more with like either flattening them out.
Yep.
Or, I've got to play with it a little bit to try and not block the view so much.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if you can hear, but there is some grinding going on now. They're working on my house.
It's pretty subtle. It might show up better in post. We'll have to see, but we'll make it work. When we had Bird's song from Arkansas, we can have grinding coming on from Australia.
Yeah, that's
all right.
true. I had birds in my background one episode. They were just chirping away over here.
Yep.
But
So I've got a question for you because, and we've actually referenced it. I don't remember which episode it was. Something about tipping or something like that came up, and I mentioned that to Christine, like that's not universal because I think you specifically mentioned in some capacity that like tipping is not a thing in Australia or not as common. I think is that true?
That's so crazy.
It's very true. Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty rare. It's not like super rare, but I might get, one tip. Like someone will give me some money at the end of the night saying thank you for playing all their requests.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I do have the QR code with, the tip me option and things like that. Mm-hmm. That very rarely gets used.
What else is like, having played now music in Australia and America, specifically, I guess, the Bay Area, but I don't know, did you play elsewhere in America as well, or is it just the Bay Area when you were here?
Yeah, I was just in the Bay Area and not doing cover shows or anything like that. I was in a pretty good, I was playing at a church on every other Sunday, but it was a pretty intensive one, there'd be 5 or 6 songs that we'd practice, play at 2 different services. So it was 15 songs on a Sunday morning. So it was quite a lot of music.
That's cool.
But that was it really. There was that coffee shop. Was it Red Rock?
Red Rock Coffee, yeah.
Yeah, I know they had a open mic night there, and I kept saying, I'll go and play at that sometime, but I never did. It was all about the work and very small children when I was living there.
Gosh, when I was living in California for a little bit, what was the place? I think the place I played was called. There's 2 places I played regularly. The Viper Room, is that a place in
LA?
Okay, yeah, I played the Viper Room, and then there was a place in Studio City. It was just this little random hole in the wall bar, but I can't remember the name of the band, but I remember them being signed by Warner Brothers, and I was opening up for them and just playing originals and some covers at this time. And I just remember thinking, this band is signed and I'm opening up for them at this little hole in the wall bar. And I just thought, California is terrible.
Well,
I was like, this sucks. I started making my mind up about how I was going to go back to Arkansas because I at least made money when I played. And it was crazy. I just remember that being my experience when I was in California. You pay to play or you play for basically peanuts.
yeah, and I lived in
nuts.
Palo Alto, so on the peninsula, and there didn't seem to be many places to play.
Yeah.
Palo Alto has
very
like
few
nothing.
places.
Palo Alto is like, I think of all. I mean, I play up and down the Bay Area. Palo Alto, I think, is one of the places I like almost have not played at all, and it's not far at all. It's very close by.
See, I was living in East LA, like Montebello, and I had to have a job. I was working in Pasadena. So living in Montebello, going to Pasadena to work, it was like a 2-hour drive every day. It was terrible. But I just remember there not being a lot of good places to play at that time and just struggling. And the House of Blues reached out to me and wanted, oh, hey, we want you to play a gig here. You need to have 2 other acts on the bill, and we're only going to give you like $1 off of every ticket that you sell. And I just remember laughing at that message that I got from them, and just thinking, I am not going to pay to play somewhere. I was over it, and just California left a bad taste in my mouth, at least where I was at. I was just like, this is not for me.
I mean, I do think maybe, and it's why I'm going to like go to the defense of the Bay Area here. I feel like the LA area is maybe a little bit more like the Hollywood kind of vibe, the hustle. Everyone's trying to kind of get noticed. I feel like that it's a little like I understand Nashville is as well, where you don't get you're kind of fighting for like attention more so than like a living wage or whatever. Whereas the Bay Area, that there are not many acts around here that have those kinds of aspirations. The venues that there are it's a ton on the coast, actually. I don't know if you ever got out to the coast to Pacifica, Half Moon Bay, Paul. But like those places are just like, they just seem like good old little venues, nice bars and pubs and restaurants and whatever, and kind of some good crowds in some of the spots. So, and you get paid a decent amount of money and you make good tips because, it's America that way. I feel like it's maybe just a different dynamic because I've heard people like describe like Nashville similar to how you're describing LA, Christine.
Oh yeah, Nashville's not any better. In fact, Nashville, in my opinion, might be worse because you're playing for tips there most of the time, and I'll just be really honest. I think it's so disrespectful that musicians we are constantly put in this position of play for exposure, play for tips, play for anything but a payment. And I'm just like, what we do is valuable. What we do matters. We should be paid a wage, And so I know it's the dream to go to Nashville and you got to hustle to make it. And I've went out there and played and done stuff too, but I mean, I guess I'm too old. I really, and I know I'm not old, but I'm too old to want to go out there and hustle and play for free. Mm-hmm. And I value what I do, and I want to be paid for it because I do think that I bring a certain quality to the table. But that's I guess as far as the differences between playing in the U.S. and versus Australia, would you say that it's the tipping that's different and I guess the overall culture of playing is different?
I don't think, I mean, I've mostly from watching, people like you got an idea of what it's like to play in America because I didn't really do it myself. But it does seem fairly similar, if you play, and I think it more depends on the venue and the age group.
Okay.
If you're playing at like a restaurant or something like that, you're not going to expect people to be, watching you and every
Super
moment and
engaged.
cheering and everything like that. They're having a good time. They're tapping their toe. They're singing along, and occasionally, they might get out their phone and film you if there's a song they really like. And they're the sort of things you're looking for to see if people are interested. They're not paying you money.
Yep.
The younger crowd don't clap. Like they'll get up and dance. They'll get up and they'll request songs, but they don't clap. It's still the older crew. It's like the, probably 50 plus who they're gonna cheer, they're gonna clap, they're gonna request the songs. So it depends on the age and the type of venue you're playing at, whether you're gonna get a good response or not.
That is really actually so refreshing to hear, that it seems to me like we're all saying that the culture of music is pretty much the same in Australia and the US, except for the tipping part. And I'm glad to hear, relieved, I guess you could say, to hear someone else having the same experience with the older generation or people our age and older, because I think the same thing too, that it's, for me, our generation and up are going to pay my bills. They're going to tip me. They're going to clap. They're going to request songs. And anyone that is probably 10 years younger than me and even younger than that, they're going to get on their phones and request you a song on your little thing, and they're not going to clap and they're not going to tip you. And that's just, they think that's acceptable. I guess they just weren't raised in the same era that we were, and they don't know that, when you request a song, you should clap if they play it, and you should tip them,
I'd say one asterisk on that. I agree. But I do find that, and I'm curious if you two have had this experience as well, for younger audience members, they're more likely to latch on when they engage. It's just not common, but they're more likely, in my experience, to understand what looping is and be excited about specifically that. Like that, there are some people who will become like your biggest fans for just like a half an hour because they're like, oh my God, you're doing looping, and they know what that is and they're keyed into it. I don't know if that's been your experience or not, but I feel like in terms of people who recognize what's happening and appreciate that specifically, I actually get that more from younger people than older ones.
I think I get a good mixture of that from all ages, honestly, in my personal experience. I've actually been surprised that some people my age and older have known what I'm doing. I'm like, wow. They'll come up to me, oh man, I was watching how you did this, and I was telling my wife, look, she's gonna record this part, and then she's gonna do this, and she's gonna record that part, and I'm like, wow, okay, they actually know what's going on up here. It's so I've been surprised by people. I think it's just really, when it comes down to it, people that enjoy music and enjoy like kind of that inside baseball type thing are going to be excited about what we do,
Yeah.
But you know what? I've actually had a question brewing inside of me. I gotta know, Nullibi, Paul McCarthy. Sorry, I had to say it. It's just such a nice, easy name, and like I said. What would be your favorite, like, dark horse song?
Yeah, the song question is a tricky one, especially when you have hundreds of songs. I see Matt Bolton struggling with this as well, actually. Guys probably have it when people say, play your favorite song.
I hate that.
Yeah.
You know what I do?
Is to play our favorite song.
I just play my newest one. Whatever I'm working on, this is my favorite today. That's my throughout.
Yeah,
that's a good answer.
Idea.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah, because I struggle with that as well.
But, I mean, the ones that I do love a good mashup, and I love, for the audience especially, the 80s stuff seems to always work. Doesn't matter if it's younger or older crowds. So something like Don't You Forget About Me, something with a good hey, 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 hey that the crowd can sing along, with the la 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 la's at the end that they can sing along with. And it's also got the same beat and tempo as Let's Dance by David Bowie, So I'll often mash those two songs together.
I love that.
And you're going to get a winner out of probably both, but at least one of those songs.
Yeah, those are some good solid choices.
I feel
Honestly,
like David Bowie's a little undercovered in general. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I recently would say that two songs that seem to really be slapping in my sets have, and this is probably definitely because I'm in the South. One of them is Heads Carolina by Jody Messina. I do that one. I really like that one a lot. And then lately I've been covering an 80s song by John Waite called Missing You. And believe it or not, I didn't think that one would go over well, especially with like younger crowds. That one's actually been going over really well with all ages, and I've been surprised by it. So those have been some of my favorites right now. What about you, Rick?
Great songs.
Oh, geez. Right now, I think my favorite is going to like a newer one, probably "Dancing in the Dark" by Bruce Springsteen.
Nice.
That song is just the vocal timing is weirdly tricky, but it's so much fun to sing.
That one works well.
Yeah, it hits and people love it. That's a great song. It's got a lot of fun, like it's got energy. I like a song that has good energy where I can like really lean into the vocal.
Yeah.
I did mean to say before that we talk about bangers a lot and getting people dancing and things. And that's one thing I do love about the home streams is they don't all have to be bangers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
yes.
I love dark, moody, quiet songs about death or whatever, breakups and like I love all that stuff.
I mean,
so
Mad World's
you don't
a
get
great
to play
song.
that.
It's just, Mad World.
That's the solo artist thing coming out in you. I've noticed that it's a solo artist thing. They want to play those slow, sappy, drudgy songs. It just fits the solo vibe, It's easier too. It is. It's easier to play a slower song than it is to play an upbeat song as a solo artist. So that's hilarious, actually, to hear you say that. I like playing those love songs. I'm a big love song. I would play it. Honestly, I would love to do a live stream where all I did is play sappy love songs. I think I would just really.
I'm there for it.
Yes. Okay. Then I'm just gonna do it. Then I've been debating it.
I'm gonna be I'm gonna say I might be napping in the corner. I just can't do it. I need the energy. I mean, I respect it. I agree. They're really fun to sing, but no, for me, that my version of that is the deepest B-side cuts of my favorite bands. And I'll give you a full stream of Bare Naked Ladies or REM, and no one will care but me, but I'll be having fun.
Hey, you know what? And sometimes that's all that matters. Because sometimes your audience does not give a crap. You know what? You better care because you're going to be having to suffer through it. But
online, you might find that audience. That's the good thing about online.
The live stream audience is what saves your bacon sometimes when you just got a dead audience in front of you. Man, that live stream chat really keeps me motivated some days, I actually was just thinking about this. I think the reason why some songs are so fun for me to play is because I don't know about you. I'm curious. A piece of gear. I have a favorite piece of gear. A lot of favorites, but I do think that for me, being able to use my Octopad, I love using that thing so much, and it brings so much dynamic and variety to my show that it makes playing any song more enjoyable for me. Do you have a favorite piece of gear that you kind of feel that way about and makes the whole set more enjoyable?
Yeah. Until very recently, I would have said the Hand Sonic. Just the fact that, being able to whack something is so much more visually appealing, but also fun for me. Than I've been doing a bit of finger drumming on the keyboard lately, and it is not the same.
No. I agree. I totally agree, man. I'm on your team, by the way.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Hand Sonic has, if you rest your hand on it and hit the bongo, it will sound exactly like you've muted it, exactly like a real bongo or conga would sound. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So it is really, with the infrared thing as well, where you can just sort of slap your hand over the top of it and it will do a vibra slap or a crash cymbal or something like that.
Yeah, that thing
So
is
much
cool.
fun.
That I will say, the Hansonic, it does seem, as far as velocity, touch, and everything, it seems pretty superior even to the Octopad. And I love my Octopad. I actually tried that Hansonic. I really wanted to be a little Matt Bolton, and deep inside, I really wanted to be just like. But just to be, just to be honest, I didn't like playing with my hands on the Hansonic. I was like, I need some sticks. And I guess that comes from my hobby drummer heart, and I'm just used to playing with sticks, and it just didn't feel right. So I went back to the...
Do you ever hit the Octopad with your hands, just like in between guitar strums or anything like that? Like hit a crash?
I wish I could. I probably should set my sensitivity to where it's a little bit, can be a lighter touch. Because I've thought about that too. I would like to be able to do that, but I just don't. I'm just always using my sticks on that thing, so I don't know. That is an advantage, though. That it really is an advantage.
But the Loopy Pro is the new bit of gear that is just so much fun for me. As a programmer,
I'd say that's that programmer musician hybrid. You can't get away from that.
It's the sweet spot.
Yeah. I think for me, probably the RC600 is probably the obvious choice for the same reason. Although if I'm going away from like the looper itself, it's got to be. I might just say my Maton guitar. I love that thing. It sounds so good. So good.
Well, I think we have the same one of the
you
same
have the,
guitars.
Yeah, was that the Keith Urban signature?
With
the notch in it.
I love it.
It's so pretty too. It's the prettiest guitar I own, and it's not close.
I feel very fond. I feel very fondly about my T5Z Pro. When I first got it, I hated it. I thought I made a mistake by getting it, and this is when I had my molasses colored one, and I just didn't realize that you have to play it differently than a regular acoustic guitar, and that's what I had came from, was a full body acoustic. And so once I figured out how to play this with like a little bit more finesse, oh yeah, man, my guitar is that actually might be number one. Just makes every gig so easy.
I say that Maton is my favorite, and I am literally, I might have the chance to play one of your T5Zs sometime soon, Christine.
Yeah.
But like, I will say one thing as I actually don't know if I'm the oldest person on this chat. I might be, but like, I've been having some hand issues, honestly, and where it's like the barring strength it takes in an acoustic guitar, and I'm like, God, it'd be nice to play on something that feels like an electric, maybe just to give myself that little bit more break. And so I could totally see myself. Of course, for me, that means like, because it's also my drum with the Maton, I'm using it for my acoustic sounds or my percussion sounds. So it's like, I'd have to figure out it's two things to get to a place where it's more similar, somewhere between with the two you're doing, I think actually is what it would end up being.
I have the two guitars that I take to every gig, an acoustic and an electric.
And I like your
switch it up at some point.
I like that. Well, because your percussion comes from the Hansonic, so I think that's it. For me, I think that's the big thing is I'm kind of addicted to the percussion sounds from the guitar itself. So I need to break that habit or find another way around it.
That's why I got the T5Z, so I wouldn't have to bring two guitars. That's why I love that thing so much. I can get my acoustic sound, and I can still get my electric sound with the same guitar, and just makes it so nice to be able to just have one guitar to carry around. Now, I've thought about bringing my other T5Z just to have as a backup, but I mean, I just rely on my one. So,
unfortunately for me, being in Australia, everything costs so much, and one of those T5Zs is the price of a small car over here.
Wow.
Oh gosh, I didn't think about that. Wow.
Yeah.
And I personally, like, I'm a big fan of buying used gear. My first T5Z Pro, I bought it. It was off of Reverb, and I got it. It was a floor model, so it was literally marked down almost $1,000 from the new price. So I tried to do my second one like that. It wasn't quite as much marked down. I think it was only $400 marked down, but still, I try to get stuff used when I can. It was another floor model. So yeah, that's crazy to think it's that much more in Australia.
I have one more question. I think we got to let you get going pretty soon. But what's your favorite Australian artist that we're not listening to, but we should be?
Oh, that's Toehider for sure. So it's a terrible band name, and I think he would have found much more success but it is what it is now. He's been around for a long time now. But yeah, like spelt like toe, hiding your toes, Toehider. And he is like a one-man band, but not in the looping sense. He does a little bit of looping occasionally.
Yeah.
But he has an incredible voice. And then he's an incredible guitarist. And then he plays the drums. And so he appeals to that multi-instrumentalist side of me. And when people ask what I play, I say I'm a singer. And I play guitar and do things. Mm-hmm. So singing is my thing. And he is one of the best singers in the world.
That's cool. Okay. They're definitely going to give him a listen for sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to check him out. Well, this has been fun. I'm so glad that you graced us with your presence on the pod. Cause,
where can people find you, like follow you, Nullibi?
Yeah.
There aren't many. I think I'm the only Nullibi on YouTube. There aren't many around. Nullibi Music sometimes. So like on Instagram, Nullibi Music. Maybe on Facebook as well. But there aren't many of me. And I've got nullibi.com for all the links.
I think it's smart to have a name like that you've made up that is yours and no one else has it. My name is a little more common, even though it's my actual name. That way.
Yeah, there's a lot of my names around.
Yeah.
Mine is not common, I don't think. I'm the only one here that I know of. I'm the only one on YouTube.
There is another Christine DeMeo on Spotify.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. I think I did see that the other day, and I just thought, what in the world? But I don't see anybody else on YouTube, I guess, under my name.
There's two of you on YouTube, though. Search at your peril, listener.
I know. It's an old account. I gotta take it down or something. Trust me, I've heard about it.
I'm like, Christine, did you know this was still there?
All this to say, I've had that YouTube channel for years and years, and only last year in March did I decide to start doing stuff on YouTube. So I'm still new to YouTube. I'm a newbie. I'm just getting by here, guys. Okay.
Doing all right.
Yeah, I'm trying. Well, Rick, do we got anything else for him?
I think that's everything. Anything else you want to say, or any final thoughts, Paul?
No, thanks for having me. This has been great. I feel like I know you both already, but this is the first time we've actually spoken face to face, and so it's been comfortable and fun. And good luck with the podcast. I like what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been fun. Christine's all right.
Yeah, like I said, I get by. Sometimes people like me, sometimes they don't. But you know what? Like I said, we're super glad you came and were our first guest. I do feel like we feel like we know you as well, and we were both pretty stoked, and we're like, okay, listen, act cool. Don't mess this up. We want Nullibi to come back if he, if hopefully he'll like us enough. It's kind of one of those things where we had moments together, but We're glad you're here. We hope that everybody enjoyed this lovely episode with the talented Mr. Paul McCarthy. Not to be confused with Mick Cartney or whatever you want to say, McDonald. I don't know. But we're glad you guys are here. Please like and subscribe. Just remember that we put out a new episode every week, and we hope that you guys will tune in.
Yeah, and let us know what you think, and hopefully we'll be able to do another one of these interviews someone else pretty soon. But Paul, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute blast, and everyone else, catch you on the next episode.
Yep. We'll see you guys later.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.